It to the cloud. So if you can just check that that's okay. I'll keep watch too, see if people come in live. Welcome everybody. I'm Elle Ingalls, creator of the Pressure-Free Method, the on-the-go stress management method. And this webinar is pressure-free relationships. A couple months ago, Uwe Dockhorn and I got connected and he invited me to be a guest on his podcast. We had so much fun together in that podcast and in our like talking before and after that we decided we wanted to do some more things together. And I just really want you to kind of take it away for a moment, just introduce yourself. Then we're going to come back to me. I'm going to share a few pressure-free tips and tools on relationships, but then we're going to go to the expert. And I can't wait to see what you have to share with us today. So take it away.
Well, thank you for this kind introduction, Elle. This is wonderful. It's a pleasure being here today. So I'm Uwe Dockhorn. I'm located in Germany at the moment, while we are not allowed to travel, but hopefully soon be back in the States again. And I'm known as a lifestyle liberator, and I delivered over 15,000 two-hour coaching sessions worldwide, and to in-demand professionals, and as I call them, their VIPs. They're very important partners at home, so to speak.
I love that. VIPs. They're definitely VIPs.
Oh, yeah, so, wonderful. So what I help them with is to get back their family mojo, as I call this, double their financial security, and live in abundance in all areas of their life without feeling guilty or constantly questioning themselves. And to explain this a bit more, what it means is how I work with them. And this is also why I differentiate myself from other providers, because I'm not a family counselor. So I'm a coach, a systemic coach. And you see, when I started working with business owners, executives, C-suite, and medical professionals, I realized over time, from the perspective of their spouses or life partners, too often, really too often, they're feeling more and more abandoned and asking themselves, what about me? What is the next step in my career? And they feel kind of like they're down here and their partner is up here. And this is simply not a good and healthy relationship, right? So what differentiates me is that I will coach both partners individually right from the start and bring them with their results together in evaluation sessions, so they can actually level up to each other, to have that eye-to-eye intimacy again that they love so much. And by the way, those evaluation sessions, work, they're kind of like more like falling back in love sessions. So really, there are a lot of goosebumps moments coming up, creating that deeper connection. And here they can regain their independence within their relationship first, because that's the first crucial step in struggling relationships that occur over time. And speaking of COVID times, it's kind of like the statistics tell us that more and more domestic violences occur. It doesn't have to go there, but it's just starting with anguishing arguments over and over again. And ultimately that can, lead to the big D. That is the big elephant in the room. And, but they discover in these falling back in love sessions their deeper connection, and then they are ready to upgrade their relationship to an interdependent status, where both of them cherish and honor their individual independencies. But what is more important than that is that from the perspective of the VIP, because they not only want to provide emotionally for their family, they also want to provide financially, and they want to contribute to their family. And that's why my promise is to, first get back your family mojo, double your financial security, and live in abundance in all areas. So, and the doubled financial security aspect of it is more a qualitative term than a quantitative measurement. So
Okay.
you see, because after these VIPs found their confidence again to restart their careers or start fresh as entrepreneurs, they ultimately want to be recognized for their expertise.
Oh, right. Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Well, we're going to dive in deeper with you, but to kick off here, I want to give a few pressure-free tools for anybody watching here. And if you're watching this on the replay or on the recording, we welcome you so much. Look down below here because we'll have links so that you can connect to Uwe and myself as well. I'm not a specific relationship coach, though I have coached couples in the pressure-free method. So I always take my couples through the pressure-free method. And just like you said, I tend to separate them and work individually with them. And then we'll come together for a session because we're so unique in how stress affects us. We're so unique in the habits of reactions that we have. And so diving into that is so important. I just want to give a few tools and tricks. And the first one is that I want to ask you, like, you have your work day and then you come home. How are you showing up at home? Some of us as professionals show up really great in the workplace, but then when we come home, and of course, home is a safe haven. We just get to be us, right? But sometimes we bring our worst selves across that threshold. We step across the threshold and we start complaining and we start blaming. We start finger pointing. We see everything messed up in the house. This was me, everything wrong. Why isn't the meal cooked yet? All kinds of little complaints and things that erode our relationships. And so the first tool I have for you is to simply acknowledge and take a look at how are you showing up at home. I was coaching in a large leadership group the other day, and I said, yeah, do you come home and you have RBF? Your face is like this. You're like, oh, I had such a terrible day. Like, that's the face you're bringing home. Whereas just an hour ago, you were like all cheery and happy and doing your work. So, so what's cool when you use the pressure-free method and you work with someone like Uwe is you get to be congruent. The inside and the outside start to match. You're no longer having to fake it to make it, either at work or at home. But you can come home and actually have a beautiful evening. I'm going to share 3 tools. The second tool I want to share is what I call the double yellow line. So when you see a double yellow line on the road, it means you can't pass. You're going to stay in your lane. And so I encourage my clients to take a look at their day and double yellow line every activity so that you're more present in the moment with whoever you're with at work, in a meeting, whatever it is you're doing, driving, commuting, biking. And then when you're home, and let's say you're having a meal with someone, you're actually with them. You're not thinking about work or that meeting that you did something in earlier in the day, or tomorrow you have this. You're actually in that meal, enjoying yourself with your partner, with your family, with your cat, with whoever you're with. You're just eating your meal. And I teach this double yellow line. Lori, who's on here live today. Oh, Victoria's coming in too. She knows this tool. And I want to take it just a step deeper today because my business colleague who I work with, I've worked with her on and off for 4 years now. She actually takes her arms and makes a huge double yellow line like this. like she's making a huge chop. And that is so brilliant because one of the things I teach my clients is for an adult brain to learn new tricks, a large motion is one of the fastest ways for new neural pathways to open up for you. So if you do a big motion with this double yellow line, say, I am home now. I am home. I don't have to worry about that board meeting tomorrow. Like, I am here, I'm home, and I'm just going to really enjoy my family. The third tool I want to share today it gets back to kind of how you're showing up, but it's a physical tool to help you really show up well. And this tool is to relax your abs and soften the front of your body, including your throat. Because if there's one voice our family members don't like, it's that pinched, tight, stressed out voice. For some women, it gets really high, like, oh my gosh, did you finish the meal yet? Like it's a constant little machine gun bursting out. Sometimes for men, it's like almost a growl, it's a tightness. Some women will go into vocal fry where there's a grinding going on that's also turns people off. They don't want to hear that kind of voice either. So when the front of your body is soft, your voice becomes really beautiful. And you can even think of your voice halfway between the singing voice and the speaking voice. I don't know, Lori's on here. I don't know if she remembers, but we used to have 2,000 children come to our second grade concerts at the symphony. And I would do this little thing where I would say, this is your speaking voice. And they'd all follow me. Do you remember this, Lori? And then I would yell. I go, this is my yelling voice. And the whole place would just scream, this is my singing. And then I'd go, this is my singing voice. And they'd all sing that. It's because a lot of times you'll hear children's choruses sing and they're yelling. They're using their yelling voice. So I was teaching them the difference between the yelling voice, the singing voice, and their speaking voice. So when you come home and you're with your family and you are soft in the front, you're showing up relaxed, joyful, playful, and your voice is melodious and not tight, there's just going to be a different reaction from the people in the house. You don't have to change other people. You can start with yourself, and you can just start with your body to help you too. So those are my 3 little tips for you this morning. How are you showing up? What's your double yellow line? What you're going to do to stay in the moment with people and then soften the front of your body. So just 3 simple little tools. And now I want to turn back to Uwe. I want him to share with us and go deep on what it is that he has to bring to the world, which I think is just amazing.
Well, thank you, Al. This is wonderful, these 3 tips. I'm just making notes, of course. They're so good and tangible. And I love this connection between, going deeper also, but these 3 levels of how you say something. And it's all about allowing yourself to be able to bring something different to the world. And this is kind of like also my segue into what I would like to share with you here now. And it goes a little bit deeper, as you just said, into my story and why I do what I do and what I learned and what I want to achieve with my clients, for my clients definitely, and in this world. You see, 6 days before Christmas 2016, my mother died, and I became the last remaining member of my close family. So just can you imagine the full understanding of what it truly means in life that is held in a moment like that? So she was the one that brought me into this world. And I always cherished that I was there for her, holding her hands when she left. I loved my family, and it was my safe haven, like a campfire that you can come to, feel totally comfortable around and just be part of a family. But of course, it wasn't always like this. As a young boy, I was sexually abused and told no one. I relied on that safe haven of family until I lost 2 very important members, my uncle when I was 16 and my father when I was 23. Something just broke inside of me. And I started to believe my family has given up on me. I distanced myself from the rest of them, even my mother, because I didn't tell her. I couldn't. I didn't feel comfortable telling anyone what I was going through. So when I looked around, I thought everyone else had it together, and it was me not coping. So after the death of my uncle and my dad, I had tried everything to compensate for the big hole inside of me. where my family used to be, but nothing worked. I became isolated, separated from friends. I lost my job, was overwhelmed physically and emotionally, exhausted, and felt there was no reason for being in this world. I was convinced that I could not feel anything. And the truth was, I didn't feel anything. I was numb. That's when I found myself on the edge of a bridge.
Oh my gosh.
I remember. It was a crystal clear but bitterly cold winter night. I was watching the stars, breathing cold air, in and out. I could see my breath. I slowly leaned forward. I let go. And at that moment, something happened. While everything else was pitch black inside and out, I saw a tiny little light inside me. And then I felt it. Something sitting right under my nose. And because I hadn't been able to feel it, I couldn't perceive it. So for the very first time since my father had died 5 years before that, I felt something inside me and it drew me back. And that night, I learned an important lesson, and it took me more than 20 years of continuous personal development to create the AIM system, my proprietary work. And it creates lasting results in people in 8 hours or less. Just like on the bridge that night. The secret that nobody in the industry of transformation and health is focusing on, letting go, is only 50% of the equation. Without the other half of the equation, letting go leaves you in free fall. So what if I tell you the other 50% after you let go is to feel, perceive, and let in what is already there? It's like a muscle, letting go and letting in. It's a two-part mechanism, and it happens at the same time always. We're just so focused on letting go that we miss the opportunity to consciously bring in what is there in that very moment to help you to get into action and do things differently. For the very first time since my father had died, I felt something inside me on that bridge, and it drew me back from jumping. And I made a promise all those years ago, and I'm still keeping today, is helping other people to learn this. And it's kind of like, you see, it's kind of like breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. Letting go is like breathing something out of your system, and letting in is like breathing in what is already there from your system. Both are connected. And can you see how important to understand letting go is for your well-being, for your daily life, for your relationship? So that mechanism is there to support you to achieve energizing results daily. And you know what? This also means your letting go and letting in mechanism becomes your own anti-burnout system.
Interesting.
So you can re-energize your relationship daily, be a better leader in your business, and therefore also even divorce-proof your marriage. Isn't that cool?
That is very cool. You know, the first thing that's coming up for me as an image is the fact that we need our cells to die for the new cells to grow. like the
Yeah.
letting go, the coming back in. I mean, I'm sure my mind is just going to spend all day thinking of all these things that are, we let go for this. I actually have a little gift that was given to me for my birthday, giving a retreat. The retreat people bought me a gift on my birthday, and it's about this very thing, what we let go and what we let in. It's right on my porch.
Yeah, it's all
Never
about this letting in
thought
piece.
about it.
Yeah. So I'm curious who's on the line. So what comes up to you? What do you feel is the first thing that you could allow yourself to let in? Because it's really about getting in control of this mechanism for yourself. Because there are so many other things that stand in the way. And I call this also the 3 foundational principles of the AIM system I mentioned earlier. My program that creates results in 8 hours or less already. And so Al, if you don't mind, I could introduce those 3 foundational principles and let you choose which one I should cover, because there's a, I don't know, we have so much time, but I just want to go a little bit.
Yeah, but first I'm gonna see Lori or Victoria. Did you get anything from that letting go and letting in? Did anything come up for you?
On?
You're on, yes.
That is a huge thing. I actually have been listening to a lot of old lectures of Alan Watts, and everything he speaks of is you have to have a front and a back, or there's a weaving relationship, or there's the yin and the yang. There's the weaving, the over and the under, and the under and the over. And it makes complete sense that, in order to bring in new energy or new experiences, you have to let go of some of the ones you're hanging on to that aren't serving you any longer. And am I to share any personal stories, since this is being recorded?
It's recording, so if you want to, you can.
Yeah,
but you don't have to. No.
I think I'll just hold off for the moment.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, though. That's beautiful. And it's beautiful that you're seeing it, in other things that you're already working on too. Yeah. Victoria, did you take anything out of that?
Yes. Hi, Al. Good morning.
Hi.
Sorry, I don't have my camera on, but it's really important. And I've been working on letting go of a lot of things. A lot of emotions stirred up a little bit, and you think you let go, but it still comes back. So I think it's still there when you still think about it. But one big thing that I let go of recently was, selling my house and the attachment to that and the memories. And, it was something that it was a dream house, and also to have the relationship, which wound up in a marriage that got divorced. So it was letting go of all of that. It was 17 years, and it took that long to finally let go.
Wow. Yeah.
I know. Thank you for sharing, Victoria. This is wonderful. May I respond?
Yes, absolutely.
So, and you're absolutely right that it sometimes it takes years for us to get to certain points where we are even capable of letting go. But so just so you know, the moment you let go, there is something there, as I mentioned earlier, in that very moment when you let go, that you can let in the same moment, right after you let go, to open yourself up and let in and have a look inside of you. What is there? What's coming up? What's the impulse that's coming up? What is something that is more hopeful? What is something that is more positive? In that very moment, the moment you let go, and that is what I help my clients to train over and over again in all areas of their life. So they get master in that letting go and letting in piece, because at one point it's much more important to let in than to let go, because those things, they get smaller and smaller over time. And of course, over the years, we've learned they created even patterns in your life, and it all comes back to something I can talk about in the foundational principles in a moment, but it's really important that you open yourself and do this in the small things on a daily basis, if I may suggest. that you just say, okay, I just don't want to do this. What can I do instead? So just focus on that, what you can do instead. What can you let in? What can you feel differently? And to get into action differently in that very moment. And just to sharpen your senses around yourself and being present in the moment and be more conscious about it. Because everything we're talking about is, when we are, not letting go all the stuff that we carry, it's kind of, they're so buried deep in our belief system that, it feels like an 800-pound gorilla sitting on your shoulders and you're not even aware of it. So, but the moment you realize I can let go of it, I can instantly let in something else. And that is the moment you make an internal new neurologic connection.
Mm-hmm.
You create a memory, you create a new memory that you can come back to later.
Yeah.
And this is proof for you as you go along that you can, just build upon each of these experiences of letting in something instead of letting go. And that builds your own bridge or your own foundational pathway into your future. So, and that is essentially how you crack your own code of transformation.
Wow. I love this because I love the precision of the moment. Because I'm thinking of someone I'm going to share something with right away because their grief has just completely, it's taking them out. And so by being able to look in that moment when they're starting to go into the grief pattern, what can I let in? It even softens your body like immediately because you need to be soft in order to allow in. So
I had to let in a new beginning, a new chapter. Like, it wasn't until I knew exactly where I was going to go after I sold the house, then I was able to let go. Because then I knew where I was going tentatively. I'm in between right now. I'm waiting for a house to be built, but yeah, so then knowing that it's a new chapter and a new beginning, and I'm looking forward, not stuck in the past. And letting go of those
Excellent.
feelings.
that's
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Well done, Victoria. And good luck on your path, and just keep on allowing yourself to do things differently, so to speak.
Yeah, and that was the word that always came in, like, recently was allowance, allow, just be still, allow.
Yes. It's one of the magic words in that context. Absolutely. I agree.
Thank you.
I know you can do it too, because I still remember being in Florida and we got in that car and you were driving this, you're like, I love this car. That exuberance that you have, Victoria, like how you took that in. You took in the experience of driving the car that day.
Yeah, it was so funny. It was a rental car, and they upgraded me to this Cadillac SUV.
Mhm.
And I was like, I want that car. And the guy in the parking lot's like, take it. I was like, so yeah, we were having fun with it. I'm like, I love this car. It's really nice.
It's funny, but it just applies here. Like,
Remember, yeah.
yeah,
You just kind of like take the lead with things, but it's a process.
it is. Yeah.
And I thank you
Step
for all
by
the
step.
help today.
Absolutely.
Just like, I know I need to do, how you just need to be somewhere and you just show up.
I'm so glad you did show up. It's just great to see both of you here. I love it.
Thank you.
So dive in, my dear. Oh, you're going to share the 3 things with me and then I'll choose one. Okay.
Okay, so the 3 foundational principles. The first one is there is no reality.
Okay.
The second one is the elephant thinking effect.
Okay.
And the third one is don't walk like an Egyptian.
Walk like an Egyptian. Oh my goodness. They're so intriguing. What am I going to choose? What am I going to choose? I'm going to go with the third one. This is
Don't walk like an Egyptian?
Yeah, don't walk like an Egyptian. Take us there.
All right. Okay, let's go there. So quickly about the elephant thinking is just for context, is important for the last one.
Okay.
The elephant thinking in short is something, it goes back to your past when, you know, there was an extraordinary incident in your past and you reacted to it and programmed yourself with a belief that you took on. And you learned this. So this could be like, I don't belong, I'm not good enough, I can't, whatever it was. It's just the equivalent of elephant thinking. So you always kind of like are conditioned to that first belief. And I call this the core elephant thinking in that regard. And it just transports over time, develops into patterns in our lives, and ultimately it affects our behavior, how we behave on a daily basis. So let's dive into the third one, don't walk like an Egyptian. So imagine for a moment to walk like an Egyptian would be kind of like, you know, the real life interpretation of how your behavior, your patterns, you know, kind of like here, and your whole belief system, which is down here somewhere, is connected to each other in real time. So walking like an Egyptian is just kind of like the culmination of all these three parts. So your behavior is represented by your right hand. This is what you do every day. It's how you behave. And your behavior is caused by the patterns. Let's say this elbow here represents your patterns. And then, you know, these patterns, it's kind of like something in your life that is showing up in front of you again and again and again, just like a stop sign in front of your face. And you wonder, why is this showing up in my life again? And as Victoria mentioned earlier, so why is this, you know, for a long time, I'm still dealing with these things. And I dealt with it a long time ago, but it shows up nevertheless. And we all have those. So, and for example, so why do I always end up in a relationship with the same kind of character?
Right.
And we rarely can figure out why. So, or why are my partner and I always run into the same issues over and over again? It's nerve-wracking, right? So these patterns steer your behavior, and therefore you start walking like an Egyptian, like in the song. And your patterns are caused by your belief system or the other side of your arm. And, you know, this is where the elephant thinking comes into play. This is where it's stored. All the elephant thinking is stored down there. And that's the point. This funky twist in this whole configuration is that you programmed it yourself.
Right.
You programmed your belief system and therefore walk like an Egyptian without knowing better, of course. But over time, you forgot that you programmed it. And that's just being human. And as a result, again, you walk like an Egyptian.
Right.
And that means your beliefs develop and steer your patterns, and therefore your patterns steer your behavior. It's all connected.
Wow.
So anytime you want to try to change something around your behavior, for example, with all those mindset techniques for 30 days or change your habits in 60 or 90 days, you want to go in a new direction, let's say, but you fail. And the reason is because your elephant thinking is stronger and will always carry you in the direction that you programmed it in the past, because unfortunately, you still walk like an Egyptian without knowing better, of course. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And this is crucial, because you just can't run around like that all the time, can you? So it also means you're wasting enormous amounts of your energy and vitality daily.
Yes.
Because at one point, you're running in circles. And I'm talking about at least 50% of your energy that is wasted with sneaky subconscious tasks.
All right.
So what if you could reclaim that energy? What if you could feel being in control? What if you could regain your freedom and certainty? What if you could make better decisions in every situation, in every moment, in every second of your life. And what if you can become a better partner in your relationship and a better leader in your business? So maybe you can already see where walking like an Egyptian is showing up in your life. So I'm just curious if anybody can already see themselves where they just walk like an Egyptian unconsciously.
Well, I want to bring forward too that it's interesting that you have the right hand up here and the left hand down here, because having the low hand near the bottom third of your torso, where we block wealth, where if we're tight down in there, I teach this to my clients to get in a totally different frame of being, because we hold a bunch of tension. We actually close up like a scared dog. And that's where all that is like stored in a weird way, energetically. And then it's coming out in what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
And it's so corrupt. I guess the word that just keeps coming up for me is like, this whole thing is just, it's so unhelpful. And you're right, we waste so much time. My clients know that when I created the pressure-free method, used it on myself, I gained up to 2 hours every day, like instantly. Oh my goodness. Well, what was I doing before? All of this.
Yeah.
All of that.
Well, if they dance, okay, that's, just a fun exercise, but it takes a lot of energy also to dance. So in that regard, no, you're absolutely right. So I totally agree. And it's very important to be not only aware of these foundational principles, because, my program, it may change over time to adopt things, but these foundational principles, they never change. It's always there. And this is why, I guess about, my estimation is about 97%, fail because you're not aware of this connection deep down in yourself. As you mentioned, it's really deep down there. So I mentioned earlier the core elephant thinking. So there's even something deeper, and, the earliest version, the original version of your elephant thinking, we all have those. So, and I just encountered this, and I was in a quick story, beside story, and there was a conference, there was a hot seat, and this lady was on the hot seat, and of course, it feels hot after a while because you get all these pressing questions, and at one point, he just stood up and went out of the room,
Wow.
and I instantly felt there's something to it, and I just went after her, talked to her, and introduced myself, and of course, and I knew there's something deeper there that she isn't aware of. She was just running out of the situation,
Fleeing,
helping herself, fleeing, really flight.
Yeah.
in life. So we became familiar. And we started coaching together. And what we realized at one point was that it really tied back to that core elephant thinking. In her past, at one point, she lived in a very aggressive domestic household where her mother was kind of like a force of nature, and she wasn't beaten up, but she programmed herself as a reaction, as I mentioned earlier, in herself. I'm only safe in my room.
Oh,
So in that moment, she didn't feel safe. So she ran out of the situation, just she did as a kid, to run into her room where she could feel safe.
Wow.
And this deep core elephant thinking has developed a pattern in her life, in her professional life, in her relationships. Well, today she's living a happy relationship, and let go and let in something else that was there for her.
Wow. Wow, that's really interesting. We all have those things. We all have them. Wow. Lori, Victoria, what was your takeaway from this.
Well, I'm in the sun. I just think that, yeah, you're going forward, going back. You carry a lot, like you said, down in your waist, and it's just like the money issue or whatever it is in your lower extremities, your back. How do you let go of it? How do you really know what that one thing is, that one belief, that core belief that you're carrying?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Victoria. So the process I developed is kind of like the first, I mentioned earlier the AIM system, and the AIM is an acronym for activate, implementation, and manifestation. So in activation, what do we activate? It's our letting go and letting in mechanism. So, and in that, at the end of that phase, I have identified this core elephant thinking that really goes back to very early on in your past. And there is this, it's a longer session, typically around 90-minute sessions, but this is a 3 to 4 hour session where we really step by step go into your past after we identified this core elephant thinking. And then I guide you through that exercise to let go and then turn around and let in and start letting in something that is more positive and helpful, and guide you through several conceptual steps back. And you create a new experience within that session. So at the end of this session, you even have a promise that is as strong, that holds a whole life. So my promise that I gave myself, for example, is to help other people to learn this. Yeah, and I'm still following that pathway. So it even has the power to guide your future. So, but you create these memories, these experiences in yourself, that later on, when you proceed and implement this in all areas of your life, then you start to get the foundation for everything. That's where you start to transform. And the last piece, the third part, is the manifestation. And manifestation is important because first, there will be setbacks and you need to experience them. It's part of the program. So it's part also of the program. They will just come by. So, and then, they show up. And when they show up again and again, and you see this with conscious eyes after you already implemented all you can let in all 7 areas, but there's still some things coming up. Then you start consciously like, oh, we need to do this again. And then the second time we do this, this longer session, you really start to manifest things for the good, for the better. And then you're good to go. So that is how you actually get rid. First, you have to identify. There's a process in sessions to get you to that point, learn how to let go, let in, implement it, fall into the setbacks cycle, and then start to manifest the true you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hope that answered a bit your question. So we could go for hours, but
I think that today we want answers right away. We grab our phones, we get an answer. And what you are bringing forward is that it takes a process for us to really, sometimes I will have clients will identify something, but you need to really acknowledge it. I was doing that more in my larger leadership sessions lately, where if someone raised their hand and said, yeah, I get ashamed about blah, blah, blah. Like they just acknowledged to 100 people that this was something that is a part of what they're stuck in. Mm-hmm. And that acknowledgement, I said, acknowledgement sets you free. It's like, okay, I think this might be it, but have you acknowledged it? Like really acknowledge it. I feel that that's what you're talking about here, is that.
Yeah, the acknowledgement is part of the letting in piece. So it's kind of like on the cusp of it. So, but there's more. There is more to it. Just acknowledging means like you acknowledge the cusp of something, but now that you know that there is more, you can allow yourself to really dive into what is there and feel and perceive what else is there.
Right.
Because before you were just going to the cusp and not further.
Right.
You're just there and you're kind of like tiptoeing around there. So,
Right.
and that is not helpful at all. So when you think over time, yeah, I've dealt with it. Yeah, but there's something coming back to me. Yeah, because you didn't close the door, so to speak.
Oh, the black door, yeah.
And
You
really
didn't clean up the
open
bottom.
whatever metaphor you want to use here, but you know, you didn't close the door and open the next one properly. So you can step in and do things differently, as I mentioned at the beginning.
I'm curious when you said, oh, first, Lori, do you have something you want to add in?
Yeah, what keeps coming back for me, I think, is this subject matter of self-criticism. And growing up, I was an overly I was a very confident young girl and just did everything, just venture free, organized things when I was a kid, little plays, all these things, and very confident. I would go around the neighborhood with my banana seat bike and round up players so we'd have enough to play for our softball games, just very confident, drew a lot. And over time, with, the fact that my mom had died when I was 10 of Huntington's, and then he started developing this relationship and end up, a few relationships before that were not good relationships. And one of them was pretty traumatic for us kids. And then the following one was, that one was more physical abuse. And then the next one was very hard to detect because it was emotional abuse. And it culminated into my believing less and less of myself. It deteriorated through high school. And oh my goodness, okay.
I can feel that. I can feel that, Laurie, yes.
Yeah. And I got to the point where I only believed in myself about a couple things. And at some point, the one thing I really hung on to, that was taken away too. And I haven't let that go, I guess.
Oh.
I can feel that, Laurie. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I am sensitive to criticism, and also I have certain things that actually stop me in my tracks. It's almost like a PTSD. I think I shared with you, Elle, about just throwing the ball to first. Like I had an injury and it took 4 years to heal. And then I just can't believe in myself to throw it overhand. And it's gotten better, but that's just a little indicator that I haven't cracked the code on that aspect of my life. And I would wait till, the stepmother would leave the house. I would stay in my room. Like when you were talking about being safe, feeling safe in your room, I would wait till she left, which meant that I didn't get out of bed till 12. Not because I needed to sleep more, but I just did not want to have her energy in my realm the first thing in the morning, or
I can deeply feel that energy that you just brought to light. Thank you for sharing, Laurie.
Yeah.
And I just want to, honor what you just said also, and add to that, when we talked about, walking like an Egyptian, about the correlation between the behaviors, the patterns, and our core belief system, what happens over the years and even decades that we carry these patterns with us, in us, is that we start to believe that's who I am. And I tell you, this cannot be further from the truth. I'm the living, breathing example of that. I found my new identity years later after that event on the bridge. But I am now today, and since more than 12 years now, I found my true why and my true identity in doing what I'm doing now. And this is a total game changer, because it opens up your path and your scope of brilliance, as I call this, where you feel comfortable in, where you have control, freedom, and certainty. Makes decision-making piece of cake, because everything outside of your scope, not your piece of cake. And the experience that you still carry with you is something that can be let go. It's only you who decides when this moment is due.
Wow. It's incredible.
Make sense, Laurie?
Yes, it does. I don't know why, a person wants to hang on to something like that, but
because you're used to it. That's just
part of your
You
history, I guess, or part of what you.
Sorry, yeah, exactly. It's not only your history. It has a lot to do with your identity, that you believe who you are. Because right now, I can totally sense you believe something deep down there that you're trying to get away from. That you thought and believe up today, that is your identity. We don't know yet, you haven't articulated it, but I have a sense that there is something inside of you that tells you, or still is resonating as this identity. And what we do in this letting go, letting in session is we create a new identity for you. And it's just a small little step, but it has a huge effect on your whole life. Just changing this one core element inside of you, changing your identity and how you think about yourself, because it's the transition. To go a little bit context here, we all grew up and we are dependent on everything. We're dependent to be fed, to be cleaned and fed again, and repeat. And every day we grow older, we step into something different, and it's independence. So we grow, and as we grow, we step into this next phase, or I would say more it's a paradigm, because in paradigms there's always succinct rules. There are rules in being dependent, and there are completely different set of rules in being independent. So, but that's not all. That's not where it stops. So there's a third area in our lives, because when we finally tap into our own independence, and at this cusp of being dependent to getting into your own independence, that means using letting go, letting in. That's why I teach this, because it's so important. You start with this new set of rules to determine who you are. It's not any longer given by something else that you can feel you're dependent on. No, you determine who you are and who you want to be. And that's the difference. That's the game changer. That's happening at the cusp. And my job is just to bring you there in a safe and neutral container so you can experience this for yourself. I'm just the questioning tool in that regard. So that's what my true purpose here is in life, just being that tool. And the third piece just to finish this quickly. I know we're way over time, but
No, we're fine.
Okay, good. So, and the last piece is like when you finally tapped into your independence, starting implementing this in your life, you feel the control, the freedom, and the certainty. You live this kind of sensation inside of you. And you do things differently. And you can say, yeah, I can do everything now. But at one point, it just naturally comes to mind, well, wouldn't it be great to have a partner on my side to share all this? And then the next paradigm starts, and that is the interdependence. So these are the three life-changing paradigms in personal development, or even in relationship development. So because you cannot jump from being codependent, dependent, and becoming an interdependent partner in your relationship. You have to identify, and in most cases, as I mentioned at the beginning, regain your independence first.
Mm-hmm.
And then automatically you are elevated to allow yourself to upgrade to an interdependent level where you can cherish each other's independence, but with a deeper connection of love and togetherness. And that is why this is so important.
It's beautiful. It's
Thank you.
beautiful. Anybody have any questions or thoughts before we close out today?
Lori, that was like so, I just want to say that was like so good for what you just said. And what I am thinking is, and I'm not a psychologist and good at this, but I listen. And for you to say who you were as a little girl and how you loved that person who was outgoing, who got on your bicycle, your banana seat bicycle, and you went and recruited everybody in the neighborhood to get on the team. That is the person you love.
Mm-hmm.
And the person you don't love was a person who made you stay in bed because you couldn't go out there and recruit all those people, and it held you down.
Yeah.
So I mean, but you recognized and you acknowledged the person that you were and that you want to be and that you love. And you still have her in you because she's there with you, and you lit up to acknowledge that person. And I think you have her in you, and I think you just need to focus on that person and let the other one go.
Yeah. I do.
Let me give
But every once in a while, it creeps its little nasty little head back in. On occasions.
Now that little girl's an adult, and you need to get out there and start recruiting those friends again.
Yes,
Actually,
exactly.
she does.
I do.
She runs the whole softball thing. She runs
the question.
I run softball tournaments, and I put together teams. Like if we're short a team, I'll just rally. I'll say, "Hey, would you like to play? We need a player." It's like kind of free agent list, and I go out and recruit. Yeah, no, I still kind of relive that experience
That's who you are.
It's kind of my side hobby because I'm a private music teacher first and a business owner, but I do that on the side because I absolutely love softball and the relationships that come out of that.
So Laurie, let me ask you one question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So who can you be?
Anyone I design myself to be.
And who is that?
That's the person who is highly creative and writes symphonies, makes things happen that people can't believe is possible. I'd like to do that kind of thing.
And final touch on that is just to point you a little bit more closer to the core. What is the identifier? So how would you name this person? Is this a recruiter? Is this a teacher? Or who is this?
I would say teacher creator more than a recruiter.
How does that feel if you say it? I'm a teacher and creator. How does this feel?
That feels like it's an alignment with who I am. And I've been doing it I've been teaching privately for 40 plus years. Sometimes I get a little tired, but and need a
So
break.
what about you just say it out loud now?
Yeah, that I'm a teacher creator.
How does that feel?
It feels good. And a performer.
you-
I do enjoy performing too.
And do you believe yourself?
For the most part, I do believe in myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that is on a scale from
That-
1 to 10. Where are you
With belief in myself,
in this identity?
oh, I feel 100% I'm that identity, but every once in a while, the memory of the other thing, or days when I don't feel like I have the same amount of energy that does come in. So I guess, am I supposed to take that away or take 20% away or something when that happens?
So what needs to be done to be 100% every day?
Oh, you're asking me what needs to be
Yes.
done? Well, I need to let that go, but I don't, I'm not clear about how to let it go yet.
Well, this is all about it. It's about letting go the emotion and replace it with something else that is more positive and hopeful.
Yeah.
So every time this feeling of letting go comes up, don't focus on the letting go part, focus on, what else is here? There is I'm a teacher and I love this doing. So allow yourself to step into that role and into that identity and just be it. That's the way over and over again.
Yeah.
It's about allowance. As Victoria said earlier, that is the key word. And the other keyword is to honor it. These are the new rules in independence. This is the new rule set. It's not about, I have to and stuff like that. No, you freely honor it and allow yourself to be in control, to be free, and to feel certain.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Hope
Well,
that was
we're
helpful a little, Laurie. I know this could go on, but just to,
Yeah,
I
do
saw the
feel that.
opportunity to give you that because we're talking about so much going to the cusp. I wanted to make you experience what is on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Notice how we want to hang on to the other stuff, like the why question versus the how can I.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I have been using that. How can I do this different or perceive? That's one of the tools I do. That when I think of that tool, it works really well for me. It's like, okay, I don't know how I can get this done. Or no, how can I get this done instead of I don't know how I can get it done.
Yes.
This is the internal shift instantly from letting go perspective to letting in. And here we are.
Yeah.
That's what is happening in the background.
Right.
It's beautiful. Wow.
Thank you so much. Victoria,
Absolutely,
thank you
pleasure.
for your words too and your story.
It's really great. Thank you both for participating because by sharing, you help other people. This is recorded and Uwe and I are going to be sharing it out. And thank you so much for being open and vulnerable and sharing because that's how other people, they see themselves in you. And it can be so helpful. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
we're going to drop the links for both how to get in touch with Uwe. He's got an upcoming webinar that's free that you can jump in on and learn more. And I'll drop my link in here too for everybody. And we're here for you. He may be in Germany and I'm in Michigan, but today you can work with anyone around the world. I've had clients in Africa and in Hawaii and all over. So it's so wonderful to be able to help each other across the time zones. That's the one thing you do have to navigate.
Right.
Time zones, but I'm just so blessed to know you, all three of you, and to have you all on this call today. I think it's really, really beautiful and impactful, and I'm really grateful to be hosting and sharing it. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Uwe.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
This is
Really
was-
noisy here with landscaping, so I'm gonna mute. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
absolutely also my pleasure. Thank you all.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's see. Pause. Stop.